All right, Representative Weinstein, welcome and good morning.
Thank you for having me, John. Good to be here.
Absolutely. Why don't we begin with you introducing yourself? Tell us who you are, share your background, what you're all about, and a little bit about the district that you're running for.
Yeah, Casey Weinstein. I am the current state representative for Ohio's 34th House District. I have represented many iterations of the 37th and 34th in my three terms because of how wild redistricting has been, and that certainly could change in the future. But for now, I'm running for the 28th Senate District, which is a combination of the current 27th and 28th, centered around Akron and Fairlawn, New Franklin, Greene, Talmadge, Stowe, Monroe Falls, Silver Lake, and Hudson. I think I got them all. And I'm in my third term. Focus of my time has been on a lot on energy, utilities, public education, and children's health. That's been sort of the main areas that I've focused on. Uh, Prior to that, I was on Hudson City Council for 3 years. So I served almost a full term on Hudson City Council. And really, I think a very effective launch pad for state level office because you see how local levels interact with government. Sorry, my kids, it's a day off from school, John, and everybody listening. So my kids, like velociraptors, whenever there's one coming at you, there's two at the side. So they're trying to infiltrate my office. Anyways, I learned at the local level how decisions at the state level impacted us. And whether it was local government funding or public, education for public education, funds for the schools, funds for critical services like safety services, where water goes, infrastructure, clean water, all those things really, I'd say, color how I view the issues as a state legislator. So prior to that, and ongoing, I've been in the private sector for about 15, 16 years. I'm currently a director at an enterprise software company called ServiceNow. I run our Department of the Air Force business. And I am married to Amanda. She's an economist, and we have three kids. I should say I met her at the Air Force Academy and have, followed her to Ohio when we got married. They moved me to be assigned at Wright-Patterson Air Force Base. That's what brought us to the state. And then when she got hired on at the University of Akron to teach, I followed her up here to Northeast Ohio. So that's what brought us here about 11 years ago. So that was a little bit all over the place, but that's me.
No, it's good background. Thank you for that. And let's focus on the political side real quick. Talk to us about your campaign and how things are going. What's the current state of your race?
Yeah, when I look back, I running in 2018 and I won the House seat in 2018. And the things that I talked about at that time were investing in our communities. I touched on this in my intro, but I realized how critical that was. And I'm proud to say that, in a bipartisan way, we've been able to restore a lot of funding to local governments, to counties, to fund those really critical services for many of my most vulnerable constituents. And in general, just expand access to services and provide more funding from the state level. I talked a lot about public education and the lack of state funding, unconstitutionally low amount of state funding that was going to our public schools. We still have a lot of work to do on this front, but we did pass the Fair School Funding Plan, which took a significant step in the right direction to provide more state funding for our public schools and create less of a burden on our communities to fund schools. So I'm happy that we took a positive step in that direction. And then I talked about delivering for my constituents, and it doesn't get the headlines, but the most important work we do is constituent level work. I mean, we connect folks to resources and help them navigate the state bureaucracy. And I didn't realize when I was elected in 2018 or reelected in 2020 that we would have a pandemic and just this critical need for services for my constituents. And I'm really proud of my office and my team for how we have helped my constituents out. So, that combined with getting to work on clean water initiatives, brownfield remediation programs that I've seen help Akron, and provide a lot of critical funding through the one-time strategic fund and through the capital budget. I'm proud of how I've been able to deliver over these 3 terms, and I'm ready to take that next step and work on these same issues, and more, right, for the entire city of Akron this time. So I'm confident in my ability to take this next step. Very, very thankful for the support I've received along the way, and hope to have an opportunity to serve.
So let's stay on that point. As a regional business community, we're very interested in hearing what you think are the top issues facing the business community, good or bad,
Mm.
and understanding how you would address them. If you're elected, what do you view those to be? Where do you plan on spending most of your time and attention?
Yeah, you know, a lot of it comes down to workforce, and having a really, really strong workforce here. But as I mentioned before, I'm married to an economist, and she has very strong feelings about this, and I tend to agree that two main things, we need to focus on two main things, and that's my plan. One is education. We have to provide as many pathways as possible to create the most diverse, level of, set of skills, and embrace that diversity in our community, that brings so much dynamism to our economy. So it's public education and our higher education institutions, in particular for us, Kent State and the University of Akron. I've sat on the higher education committee. Unfortunately, a lot of the work we do creates a burden on them, or is making things more difficult on them. We need to be supporting them. They are so critical to developing the workforce that our businesses need. Second thing I'd say is strong communities and strong, safe communities and great infrastructure. By investing in safety, in infrastructure, in amenities that people want, we will create a community that people want to move to and live in, and jobs and economic growth will follow. We need people, and Akron has struggled with population decline. I've seen some data that we're plateauing. Maybe have an opportunity to reverse that, but we need those. We need people, and people want strong, safe communities with lots of wonderful amenities. Things like Lock 3 come to mind. Great spaces, great places for people to live, work, and play. So that's incredibly important as well. The combination of those two things, really can help drive business growth to the region. And the final thing is the infrastructure. And an example of that is Cascade Plaza in Akron's downtown. There's 3 or 4 buildings that are vacant or near vacant, and have issues with the parking deck, that no developer is going to take on by themselves. So the city came to us in the legislature and said, "Can you help us with funding?" We were able to get $2.5 million in the House and Senate, so $5 million to help remediate that. And when you combine that with county and city funds, now we have an opportunity let developers, to partner with developers to come in. And I know that Testa's already moving forward with one of those buildings. I've heard good grumblings about another building or two, where we have opportunities so that we can create a really strong urban core in Akron. And those are the things that create a critical mass that just tremendously benefits business from people and workforce.
Right. And we're also deeply ingrained in economic development work across the region, in both the Akron and Canton areas. You mentioned funding for what is perhaps one of Akron's largest economic development opportunities, maybe from a high level, just building on what you've just said. Uh, could you share your view on what the government's role is, or what it should be, in supporting the business community and its partners as they pursue, these big economic development opportunities?
Yeah, it's building on strengths, right? And the chamber's done an excellent job of leading the charge on this historic amount of funding that's coming in to develop and enhance the polymer cluster. where we can be a world-beating region. And that is a strength that we have had for a long time. I see the state government as being a partner in helping to grow, build, and grow on that. We're not trying to create something from scratch here. We have an amazing foundation already in place in this region that could really, really grow. So I'm very excited to see where that state and federal funding goes, and the incredible really impact it can have on entrepreneurship and growth of the existing supply base, and research and development and new buildings and people in those buildings, and the second and third order effects of that. And then I think the other part is addressing weaknesses. Weaknesses is a strong word, but where are there gaps where we can help, right? Um, where are there funding gaps on critical services, or um, you know uh, parks, the amenities and the great spaces and places that people want to live. Government can help, state government can help provide critical funding for those things. Not necessarily the first thing everyone thinks about, but the Akron Zoo is such a gem, and such an important one of the heartbeats of the community. We're able to get them millions of dollars for a brand new veterinary hospital because they are expanding, and the animals are getting bigger. My kids are very excited about the giraffes. I promised them giraffes. I hope the giraffes come through. But that brings people downtown. That brings people there, and there's gaps, right, in terms of what they can do, and the state can be a partner in that. And I go back to workforce one more time. We owe it to our businesses to provide a well-educated, strong workforce. And we have to keep investing in education, from early childhood education, access to that, all the way through higher ed, and beyond. So that's where we can be a partner and help build on gaps, and strengthen strengths and build on gaps, fill in gaps.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
So as you reflect on this session, and you look ahead to next session, there's many that feel that the legislature has spent a good amount of time on maybe more socially oriented issues and less on either economic or business oriented issues.
Yeah.
Um, given your background and the work that you've done leading up to this point, are you someone that we could count on to encourage maybe a more business focused agenda going into next session?
I mean, absolutely. I would love nothing more than to get through a GA without, some kind of, everybody knows all the hot topics. I would love to not have our time dominated by that, like it was on the higher education committee this GA. I mean, we were dominated by these culture war issues. And one thing that I think will have a major and profound impact is issue one. It's not just about having more Democrats at the state house. It's about more balance in our districts, so that more of our legislators are accountable to the median voter and not to the extremes on either side. And that we focus more on the bread and butter issues that matter to our communities, like the economy and safety services and infrastructure and clean water, like those in great schools, right? Those are the things that should be absolutely dominating our time. And I am so excited about the opportunity to partner to help the city of Akron in particular. I'm incredibly heartened by what I think the future can be for downtown. Going back to the Cascade Plaza example, like if we're able to flip 3 or 4 largely vacant buildings or completely vacant buildings and turn those into um, uh, positive economic contributors, paying tax revenue into the county, into the state, bringing people downtown to live, work and play, like that is going to be a massive change, combined with the Polsky project at the University of Akron. My commitment is to a strong Akron, because a strong Akron will lead to a strong Summit County, a stronger Summit County. And I will absolutely always be a partner, and always have an open door if elected to the Senate, um, to anyone who wants to come talk and talk through how I can help.
Thank you for that. And for the folks listening that maybe already know you, or those listening to you for the first time and just getting acclimated, any closing remarks or final thoughts for them as we approach the general?
I just like it. I truly love having this role. I do. There's some negativity that comes with politics, but it's few and far between. I love having an opportunity to serve. I mentioned earlier I was in the military. When I left the military, um, I wanted to continue that service. I missed wearing the uniform, and this has really been the fulfilling, thing from a public service perspective that everything I hoped it could be and more. And I'm so excited about taking this next step. I'll just say, please get me smart on the issues. I've represented a sliver of Akron, but mostly Northeast Summit County. I live in Hudson. There are definitely gaps I have in terms of understanding all of the issues and challenges that we've got in Akron. I just welcome coffee, lunch, even grabbing a beverage at the end of the day. With anyone and everyone who will have me essentially let me know more about your organization, how I can support you, how I can help you. You will always have an open door. I will always be responsive to you. I pledge that. And I'm just really, really excited to take this next step. So that's my ask. Get me smart. Tell me, help me help you, and I will do my darndest to follow through. I promise you that.
Representative Weinstein, thanks for your time this morning and best of luck with the rest of your campaign.
Thank you, John, and thank you and the chamber for being wonderful, wonderful partners for me. Look forward to working together again.
Thank you.